When looking at the Minnesota Vikings heading into 2022, there are a few things that need to be asked, and we'll start with the elephant in the room, which of course is quarterback Kirk Cousins, or more notably, as he is due a whopping $45 million that is fully guaranteed. There are a few ways to go about this, and each way can piss off a different part of the Vikings fan base. The first route is to try and find a trade partner, and like the Vikings do not want to do, other teams do not want to have to eat $45 million for one player. Well, a player of Kirk Cousins' caliber, I should say. And we're going to break everything down regarding not only Kirk Cousins, but the entire Vikings team in today's video, so without further ado, let's begin. First things first, there's a lot more to rebuilding or retooling the Vikings than just Kirk Cousins. There's a lot of decisions to make and a lot of unpopular decisions to make on aging superstars like Adam Thielen and like Harrison Smith. But one thing that has to be asked, or at least discussed, is should the Vikings really blow it up this offseason? Of course, there's two sides to it, as you'd rather be a year early on getting assets in return for players. Example, if the Vikings traded Adam Thielen, now at 31 years old, coming off of 24 touchdowns in 2 seasons, and proving time and time again he is still a very good football player. And of course, there's Harrison Smith, who is now a 6-time Pro Bowl player and more than likely Hall of Fame bound, who will be 33 years old when the 2022 season starts. And the easy decision from outsiders looking in is to say blow it up, and to that I'd say hold on, because there's a good possibility the new head coach that comes in is better than what Mike Zimmer was in 2021. 2021 specifically is what we're talking about, not the whole Zim Reapers and the 2015 through 17 era. With a good head coach, would this team have won a Super Bowl in 2021? No, but there's no reason to suggest they couldn't at least win a playoff game based on how the Cowboys played, and they definitely could have played better than the Cardinals did against the Rams as well. And when you look at some of their 9 losses from 2021, specifically the ones in Detroit, Baltimore, and Arizona, those are without a doubt 3 games they should have won, putting them at 11-6 and without a doubt now in the playoffs. But in Baltimore and Arizona, a Mike Zimmer coach team took the foot off the gas and blew a 2-touchdown lead in both games. The reason I bring this up is because this team on paper is very, very talented when healthy, and when healthy is the key, because losing both Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin did not help this past year. And for any team to lose not one but your 2 top pass rushers, well, I don't have to really get into explaining why the Vikings didn't have a pass rush in the second half of the season, and most teams would be screwed here as well. So I think ultimately for 2022 specifically, you of course search and test the waters on a Kirk Cousins trade, and if any truly blow you away, then you accept it. But more than likely you ask a couple of guys to restructure their contracts, like Adam Thielen and Harrison Smith, who are due a combined $30+ million. And for clarity purposes, I'd love to ask Kirk to restructure, but his contract is fully guaranteed. And when I say restructure Adam Thielen and Harrison Smith, I mean convert some of their guaranteed money more to performance incentive based deals. Example, if Adam Thielen gets 70 catches in 2022, give him, we'll say, a $500,000 bonus. These types of things, and the same can be said for Harrison Smith based on his interception total for the upcoming season. The future of all-pro pass rusher Danielle Hunter will also certainly be in question, and unfortunately for Danielle, he is coming off of back-to-back season injuries, and for as much as I like the guy, he doesn't have a lot of leverage for something to be worked out long-term in his favor. He can of course threaten holdout, and I suspect he will, but the only way this deal gets done long term is if he plays essentially at a discount in 2022 and he gets a very large raise in 2023, putting him in the area of where players like TJ Watt and Myles Garrett are currently getting paid. And with Kirk's contract severely limiting the Vikings next year, I fully expect a trade this offseason. A new head coach and GM surely will say, Kirk, we like what you've done, but one playoff win in 4 years, right, wrong, or indifferent, because there's there can be a lot of excuses made for Kirk only having 1 playoff wins, but they'll say it won't cut it and simply we wish you the best. And in return, the Vikings will probably net at least a first-round pick and honestly a little more. With trading a 4th-round pick in desperate times last year after Irv Smith went down to the Jets for tight end Chris Herndon, I'm sure they'd try for at least a 1 and a 4, which would open up a world of cap space. Now, the million-dollar question, who would replace Kirk Cousins? And I highly doubt that answer is Kellen Mond, based on the 3 passes we saw in his rookie year, and I don't think the Vikings would want to force a pick like a Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, or Matt Corral, though it is worth noting we saw them do that in 2011 with Christian Ponder, and they could. Again, to be clear, I don't think they will under new leadership. But with 2 first-round picks now, you'd have to, this is assuming the Kirk trade goes through, of course, you'd have to at least think they call about Russell Wilson and pending the situation in Houston, Deshaun Watson, because for the first time in several years, there will probably be a few big-name quarterbacks on the move this offseason. For as crazy as this sounds, and for 2022 only, I'll explain more, I promise, I would honestly love the team to sign a cheap veteran quarterback like a Marcus Mariota or a Jameis Winston or Teddy Bridgewater. The reasoning is because there is no quarterback in this draft that will for sure step in and be a day one game changer at this point in time. At least we don't think that. And I certainly do not think the Vikings should force a draft pick like they did back in 2011 with a Christian Ponder and just draft one to draft one, especially with jobs of several people on the line. And if you bring in one of those guys, the veterans, for cheap and have them compete with Kellen Mond for an offseason, and I'm 100% trying to sell myself on this because quite frankly there are not a lot of options. It's either extend Kirk and relieve some cap and have complete not great players and sign the Steven Nelsons of the world at corner and pray they'll play well for what they are, or bring back players like Danielle Hunter, Eric Kendricks, potentially Anthony Barr, and go for a boom or bust quarterback option. And if the quarterback busts in 2022 and does not perform to a great level, which is expected, then you draft one in 2023 where there are adequate available options. The best case is you get a career revival like a Ryan Tannehill, who ironically as I record this just had a horrible playoff game against the Bengals, but my point is you can potentially get a career revival like that, or at worst another veteran QB free agent signing. And I think either way you spin this, it is a positive for the Vikings because ultimately it is a step towards finding their next quarterback. At this point in time, I would be highly surprised if Kirk Cousins is the team's quarterback in 2022, and I truly think we see him get moved in the next 2 to 2.5 months. I fully realize this plan does not sound the brightest and that there's a lot of gloom to this, but here's another positive to doing something like this. You get a first-round quarterback in 2023, or now also as I record this, somehow Aaron Rodgers pulls a Brett Favre and becomes a Viking. No, I'm kidding with that. I mean, I obviously wouldn't be opposed to it, but you bring in a first-round quarterback in 2023 and have a couple of things the Vikings do not currently have with Kirk. That is A, mobile or at least semi-mobile quarterback, and B, hopefully not have a revolving door of coordinators for every single season that the next quarterback is on the Vikings. For the Vikings' 12th overall pick this year, and with 3 corners being top 15 prospects or so in Clemson's Andrew Booth, Cincy's Sauce Gardner, and LSU's Derek Stingley, I would be shocked if the Vikings do not draft a corner, given they'd have serious need for help at that position. For the first time in a decade, since that dreaded 3-13 2011 season, it truly feels like a complete rebuild, and a lot of the franchise's beloved stars, like future Hall of Famer Harrison Smith and All-Pro linebacker Eric Kendricks, may be on the move as well, as he will be 30 years old by the start of next season. And with a new head coach and general manager, they probably will want to start things over, but keep the core of young players like Dalvin Cook, who will be just 27 at the start of next season, and of course, the all-world receiver Justin Jefferson and both tackles in Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill. It comes down to this draft class and how the rookies' immediate play for a large part of 2022. If they play good, then we can go Super Bowl or bust, but if they don't, then it is 100% smash the rebuild button. And I don't think there's a lot of NFL franchises like that, for what it's worth. The Chiefs, for example, are going to be competing for a Super Bowl with or without rookie contributions in 2022, and sure, it'd be nice for them to have more good young players, but they will compete regardless. For the Vikings in 2022, though, it will probably be a year where they're going out with the old and in with the new. And unfortunately, it's going to be a 3 to 4 year process for this to take place. And with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, now is the time I ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because it would truly mean the world. And until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.